Well, I'm Cheryl Clarke.
And I'm Gregory Clarke, and welcome to the Couple Motivators podcast.
Well, how are you today?
I'm doing good. You know, first there was one I was throwing cherries up in the air and one I was hanging. Today I'm very good. I'm chill.
You're
Cause
chilling?
because today's a magnificent conversation, and the conversations that we're going to have today are basically around how we are manifesting in our we. And so, I'm chill. I have no real innuendos to say yet. I'll see what happens if we start talking about bicycles or skates, and maybe that'll get integrated. But if not, I'm chill.
You know, you always like to start some mess before we
Chill.
start. You know what? Anyway, today
At least I'm not talking about stuff that's being lifted.
It's just, we are chill today, so we're gonna go right into
Deflected
what
real
we're
quick.
talking about. We're gonna talk about the me versus the we. So, in any relationship, the me versus the we is always going to get in the way. However, the secret.
Whoa! You're not going to just run past that.
Because
you're not going to just run past that.
Okay, so let me just
So
say
why
that.
will the me
Get in the way?
get in the way of the we?
We. Because certain ways that we're set up, and we had to learn, if there wasn't the first part of our A, we have a book out called The Power of the 4 A's.
That's right.
And the first A is acceptance, self-acceptance. And if you do not accept yourself, how can you even operate in a we? We had to learn that. So when I say the me gets in the way is sometimes the me, if you don't understanding what that looks like, you can begin to move into selfishness. You can begin to move in a space where you are not understanding your acceptance of you, who you are. And that means that we don't say that you have something's wrong with you. We don't say something is wrong with us or characteristic flaws. It's just characteristics. Because if anybody that knows Gregory, he is hella sarcastic. Hella.
Is that so for you out there who want to send in, a question about that that I'm not sarcastic. I'm just a Virgo. So, that's just how we roll.
Virgos are very sarcastic.
That's just how we roll.
So all the Virgos out there.
I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just being me.
Because y'all think that you guys are always right.
Well, we feel sometimes we're God's gift, which is glory. Yes, we are. Amen. You lucked out, girl, in your we to met me. Hey!
I don't even know what's going on right now. I don't even know.
Me versus we.
I don't even.
Let
me look over here. I don't know what's going on right now.
She knows what's going on. It's called, the fact of the matter is, if we start talking about personality traits and things of that nature, those are things that you have to learn how to navigate in order to be in an effective relationship. And it's so true, because even though I'm joking about the sarcasm, my sarcasm at times did infiltrate the relationship and created, obstacles. It could create tension. It could create, sometimes when you're too matter of fact, sometimes you have to know when to pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the same way that, my wife has stated, she's very aggressive. She could be very, and forthcoming like that. And, just all that extra hitting underneath the belt. But it's okay. That's just her style.
No, it's not. It's not okay.
No. This is why I'm saying that it's okay. No. I'm saying this is what I'm saying. The reason why it was okay, because you grew from that. Yes. You evolved from that. Now, the same way that I know I can still be sarcastic, but at the same time I know how to dial that down now, because now it becomes aware. Once you become aware that what you're doing as a me can affect the we, then now it moves from a space of just saying, well, I'm just doing it because that's me, and this, that, and the third, and you should just accept it. No, you take the time to pause, which we tell people in our book, The Power of the 4 A's. You have to know when to pause. And in that space of being, of understanding of your own self and how that may impact your partner, now your me starts to become an asset instead of being a liability.
So I say the first thing that we do with any couples that come to us, the first thing we do is give a personality assessment, because we are operating in a personality. No matter if you're a Virgo, if you're a Gemini, if you're a Cancer, whichever it is, those things do matter too. However, the tenor of who you are really is going to show up. So learning that, we did the particular one, Myers-Briggs, which is very helpful. I'm an executive. That's mine. And when you look at an executive, I'm tasky. So I'm always tasked.
Task oriented.
I'm tasky, I'm doing tasks. And sometimes I lose focus on what is happening around me. And because I'm so focused on the task. Now, Greg, on the other hand, he is that God, he is called the guard, I'm saying
Guardian.
Guardian, yes. Greg is a guardian, so he's always watching.
I'm always observing.
He's always observing. He's always observing. And Greg is slower to act. So therefore, because you ponder,
you kind of emphasized that a little bit. That was just a little, you tried to dig into that like if you was riding a bike. But that's right, you don't do that. But anyway. Now, instead of saying slower, instead of saying slower,
did you see that?
Instead of saying
because
slower,
what you just did,
no.
Okay, for everybody out there, let me just get it out there. I do not know how to ride a bike. So there you go. You got it there? Okay, there you go.
For our that was just excellent. But no, also,
that was not nice.
I apologize.
I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? I understand, but you're still not going to get the adult track. But anyway. As we are talking, and we're recognizing how certain things can fall upon each other, we must recognize that in your respective relationships, you must take accountability for when, as you stated, you may say something, and depending upon the degree of your ability in recognizing how you're moving, you can be hurtful. And then that means you're allowing your me to supersede the we. And that doesn't work. Now, what makes you a powerful me is that if your me works within the we, then both me's are working together, then you have a strong we. And if you look at it, that M looks like just a W upside down. So it's both sides of the same spectrum. So if you're just navigating your me, you're going to be by yourself. But when you manifesting in that we, you have two receptacles to pick up instead of just one as a me, as that M.
Yeah, and when you also looking at with Greg being who you are as a guardian and Cheryl as an executive, those are two different realms.
Oh, yes.
That when you come together, the people usually know us as a dynamic duo because we have really did that dance, but it came with a lot of growing pains.
Well, we had to learn. We stepped on each other's toes.
Exactly. It was a dance. Because you don't really know how to dance well.
No, I know how to dance well. Don't make me go overweight love in the house. Don't make me do that. Heavy D. Don't do that.
I think.
Don't do that.
I think what we need to do.
Don't do that. Don't make me experience my me in this moment.
Because
I'll help
every single time we get on the dance floor,
no.
I'll be by myself.
No, I allow you to be by yourself because you do all this stuff and you want to wobble and you want to shake it, and you want to wobble, and you want to shake it, and all the especially all the all the intensity dances.
Let me just say, nobody even know what you're talking about.
Yes, they do.
Listen to me.
They know what I mean by the wobble and the shake it.
Now, you went over something, right? All your comments about allow. Greg doesn't allow me to do because you said allow.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah,
no. I can bring that back. No.
Okay.
When you're perfected in your we, it's not that I allow my wife. That's not even something that needs to be corrected, and I can stand in that. It's not that you allow your partner to do anything. If you're powerful in each other and you're powerful in your own stance, it's not that you allow your partner to do anything. What it is, if you're there to support them, if they like to do certain things, you just allow. It's not even allow. Maybe that word allow is the wrong word, and I have to find another word. But it's about recognizing that when you see something that's making your partner happy, you just stand back and you enjoy the view. Instead of trying to sit there, sometimes we may try to take credit, we may try to do this and try to do that. Certain things, everyone has an aspect of themselves that they stand out in. And when you allow your partner to stand out effectively in those areas that they stand out in, then that actually enhances you, because now you're recognizing how to be supportive instead of always trying to be in the forefront. And that is a way that segments into a different conversation in regards to thinking, that is definitely a we conversation, which moves into the realm as us of African descent dealing with insurance, because you have those taboos. You have certain people say, you don't talk about insurance and this, that, that. All those old conversations do not work. And the reason why I'm saying they're old conversations, because me and Cheryl, we recognize that insurance is a vital point. See, you can't drive a car without insurance. One of the businesses that we have that's under our plethora of businesses, that's a home-based one, Cheryl has to make sure, and she was even conversating with the people a couple of days ago, she has to make sure that that business has its insurance, that has its liability insurance, stuff that covers the business, her practice. And we're not even going to talk about her being a psychotherapist, and she has to have a particular insurance of that, and an umbrella, and coaches. We're both master life coaches, we have insurance just for that as well, because why? We have to be indemnified in regards to the fact of,
Now you said a SAT word.
What SAT word did I say?
I can't even say what you said.
Don't rub my head like that now.
I can rub it. It's my head.
If she turns this into Couple Motivators Uncut, I want to understand that. And we have some millennials here who are looking right now, kind of nervous and scared, that just like wondering like what is going on here. We need to stay on the insurance conversation. There we go.
You like me rubbing your head.
And she's starting.
You don't like me rubbing your head.
She's starting it out. If I end up finishing, she says I
go.
You
don't like me rubbing your head.
See what I'm saying? We talking about insurance. One of the major insurances that we don't like to talk about, especially those of us of African descent, deals with life insurance. There's ever so often that me and Cheryl, we have these conversations that delve into, we go through reassessments. Do we need to bump up our insurance? Do we need to add another policy? Do we need to be responsible? Do you have your will? Wills are part of. When you think about insurances, now you're talking about wills and trusts and all this other stuff that come into play. And it's not necessary, even though I said the word stuff, they're all vitally important. Now, why do I say that it mandates and it flows with the me versus we? Because then you could have a me conversation where you're worrying about insurance just for yourself, but when you're having that we conversation, that leads into your legacy. Because you're leading into the fact that God, we all will transition. All of us will transition one day.
But how
you properly prepare yourself so when that day comes, that other communities make sure they have X amount of dollars. So when this person transitions, all of a sudden they got inheritance, the house is paid for, people ain't worrying about credit cards, and then they have, wait a minute, the house is paid for, this person transitioned, we're going to mourn them, we miss them, oh my God, boo-hoo, cry, have the funeral, put them in the ground, not in the ground, wherever it is. And next it's like, wait a minute, okay, because of their transition, this is taken care of, that's taken care of, this is set up, that's set up. And next even though you will miss them in the physical, they left a legacy. They left something within this plane that lets you know that not only were they there, but they were thinking ahead. And so,
say something?
Yes, please.
I remember just a couple of months ago, someone on the platform, a high-profile relationship personality transitioned, and he his family couldn't bury him, and they went. Was that true or no?
That was untrue.
Okay.
And
you see stuff like that. So we'll say this: we know people that don't get the right information to begin to bury their loved ones.
Or to build on what you're sharing. I understand that person that she was talking about, that was something that was just a little off, and come to find out he did have certain things set up. But she brings up a valid point. There are times that there are individuals out there who are transitioning, and next and they don't have any discussions about anything. They don't have no insurance set up, regardless of his whole term, life, whatever it is, beneficial life, whatever it is, whatever the insurance vehicle is, they don't have any. And next they transition, and now the family's stuck there saying that, wait a minute, as I know that I coach an individual who owns his own funeral company, and he has several locations. A funeral can run $10K easily. And we're just talking about just for the funeral. We're not talking about the emotional distraught, people traveling from to and fro, the repasses, all the other stuff that's going to come. We're talking about just to bury the person is going to average at least 10 grand, and you know that price is going to go up.
Yep.
So that means if you don't even have that basic level of insurance, that means you are passing on your situations. Sometimes the way you may have lived your life, and I'm not saying this is not for all scenarios, but I just want to get to a point here. Sometimes we live our life in that me, not recognizing that you're going to be affecting a bigger we. So now you live your life and you do the things that you wish to do and the things that you wish to manifest and grow and expose to, and then next you know you transition, but you didn't have no insurances, you didn't have a will, you stuff ends up in probate if you did have some stuff, just like we talked about, which was a sad case, which this part is true. You know, we loved Chadwick Boseman. But he left even a greater lesson because when he transitioned, he was a millionaire. But he did not have his will set up. Wow. And as everything was transitioning and stuff went through probate, and then the government made sure they took their little piece off the top.
A lot of our, like, look at James Brown, look at Prince, look at all those individuals that transitioned, that are people of color, that's out there that did not set up their will and testament properly.
No. James Brown, I can understand. Prince was set up. Prince was set up to the point where now that's why they're starting to release some of his music now. Those who are the executives of his state. But so so I got you. In the dichotomy of what we call the African American experience,
the diaspora,
you must be in the conversation that too many times we hear the word insurance and it's like a pause, or you trying to wish death on me, or you talking this and talking that. It's like, wait a minute.
So we're talking life insurance. So we're talking about there's many forms of life insurance, and let me just say this, we're not recommending any type of insurance.
We're not telling you what to do.
We know what we have, what works for us, right? But there's different types of insurance out there. There's life, there's term, there's
well, you mean talking about whole life?
Whole life. There's term. There's other types of.
You got burial insurance.
Burial insurance. You have insurance just for your home to just pay it off completely if you transition. There's different type of insurance. Like I have a rider on my insurance for each of my children. So if I transition, the rider takes care of that. So they can have that for each of them. So because the Bible even says, and you can help me with the scripture because I know that you are great with the scripture, that a man that leaveth an inheritance
for his children's children. For his children's children.
Children's children. That is where you can begin to move in power.
And that's why when you think about it for us in our respective community and why we're here as motivators, is that we're understanding we are responsible to those who look like us to make sure that we change the narrative. It is okay to talk about insurance. It is okay to make sure grandma has insurance. You know, grandma's up in age. Doesn't necessarily mean that grandma has to pay for it. If one of you are wise enough to say, you know what, grandma, can you please sign this? What's this for, baby? This is insurance. So just in case that day that we're going to miss you.
Well, do you even have insurance? She may even have it tucked underneath her bed somewhere.
And that, you know what?
You know something? I'm going to end with this story. My grandfather had an account. And my grandfather saved over $10,000 in this one account. And one day, I remember so distinctly, he asked my uncle to go and withdraw all the money from that account. And the money was sitting in the chest in the front of the TV. I'm the only one that I knew was there, and my uncle. And 2 weeks later, or was it even 2 weeks later, he made his transition. And everybody was scrambling, saying, what are we going to do? Because he had no life insurance in place. And I said, well, he got the money and put it in the trunk. And they was, what are you talking about? My grandfather had saved $10,000. And it was just enough to bury him. And I remember, us burying a transition that was our patriarch of our family. And it taught us a lesson. I love my granddaddy because my grandfather wasn't in my life. I mean, my father wasn't in my life. So, and he loved you too. I will say he loved him.
I'm the extension of him.
You are definitely.
I'm 4.0.
When they say you marry your father, I married my grandfather.
I'm 4.0.
My grandfather was definitely you. And where I will say this, get informed about insurance. Get informed what's best fit for your family. Because what's best fit for the Clarke may not be best fit for you. Figure out how much you guys make a year. Figure out how your age. Figure out all of that because that's going to matter.
And how you take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Your health is wealth. And as we get into other conversations, we're gonna dive into insurance again in a later podcast. But I want you to recognize that your health is your wealth. And if you notice, like most CEOs and individuals who are in those spaces, they make sure that they cover themselves and make sure you are covered in your relationship. Yeah. And so do we have any questions?
Yeah, the one question that came up on for us was, and that we get a lot in here, what would be the best course of action for getting insurance? And I think I just answered that question, but I just wanted to be very clear, is that the first thing that you need to do is figure out the situation in your family. What's your family size? What does that look like? What's your age? And what I would suggest,
what's your health history?
Yes, what your health, oh my goodness, your health history is going to matter if you can even get insurance. So I want you to do your due diligence. And as soon as that baby is born, I would say get some insurance. That's the least expensive thing you can ever do. Is when the baby's born.
You know, they always use
that Gerber, that little Gerber
thing.
Thing. Yeah, get something on that child. Get something on your children, and then you can when they're smaller, and then when they get of age, they can take it over.
And it transitions, and it'll be less expensive.
Exactly. So I want to say that if you have a family, if you are by yourself, or what are you leaving for legacy? The next question was, how do you build legacy?
Well, you build legacy. Actually, insurance is a necessary part in building a legacy. Because if you notice that when people transition, which we all will do, if you have that as part of your portfolio, now along with a will, which we'll get into that in the later conversation. So if you have your insurances in order, you have your will set up, that means you're going to allow your family not to deal with the probate process. Now, all of a sudden, and if you know how to transfer certain things in trust and know how to transfer those trusts over, now all of a sudden you're starting to recognize that legacy wealth. When we say like the Bushes or the Anheisers or any type, or the Rockefellers, the reason why their money is still long and still there and is still permeating is because that they created these avenues and utilized them properly. And regardless of your last name is Clarke, regardless of your last name is Jones, whatever, you can have the same legacy set up if you so choose to.
I want to say another thing about insurance is that really helped us. So the insurance piece that we got, it was interest building. So, and therefore, we used it, we could pull out, so because we were young enough, was able to pull some of the money out of the insurance.
And then you're paying yourself back.
And exactly. So you got to use insurance for you. Use the insurance properly so you can begin to build that business. You can begin to build your career. You can begin to build that legacy. What are you leaving for your children's children? How about this? Not even if you are a single person. What are you leaving in the planet? You're put on this earth for a purpose. What is your purpose? We believe that your purpose is for community. There's a community you are supposed to serve.
And
There's
remember,
a community that you're supposed to be with.
And you're definitely not here just to live, pay bills, pay taxes, and survive and die. That's not what you're here to do.
You're supposed to thrive.
You're supposed to be thriving. So when you start to think about the thriving aspect when it comes to insurance, you're understanding that as we leave you today, some of the takeaways you're going to get from this initial conversation is that insurance is a conversation that needs to be had by all of us, regardless if you're young or regardless if you're a little bit older. It's okay to have the conversation. It's not wishing any ill will on you. Number two, it's part of the aspect of developing legacy, because now you're not putting some of those costs that will come up on the people who are left. And if you set yourself up right, not only are you taking care of the day of your transition, but at the same time, you're leaving something for them. And number 3, recognize that as you can have car insurance, you can have all these other business insurances, then life insurance is also necessary as you develop and move through the aspect of the relationship, which and now life. You're not just thinking about yourself as a me, but you're recognizing to be a part of the we.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Couple Motivators podcast, and we hope to hear you back. And go ahead and share it.
That's right. And remember, make sure you touch the right head. Touch the right head, because if you touch the right head, boy, things will happen very frequently and happily.
All right.
We'll see you the next time.
See y'all later.
She likes touching heads. Hey everyone, this is Gregory Clarke Sr.
And I'm Cheryl Clarke.
And we're here today to tell you about this dynamic book that we wrote together, which is called The Power of the 4 A's.
Yeah, the 4 A's really helped us in our marriage. And one of the first 4 A's is acceptance, and appreciation, affection, and agreement. You know, this book will help you repair your relationship. It can either help you to thrive in your relationship, or if you want to be in a thriving relationship, this is the book.
Well, when you think about this book has actually helped save our marriage, which has influenced in how we was able to not only save the relationship, but also impact our lives and impact the lives of others. Yeah. So I wish for you today to take advantage of the opportunity to go to gregandcherylclarke.com to get your copy of The Power of the 4 A's. Why? Because you need this book in your library. You need this book as a tome that's going to help you in the apparatus of your own relationship. So once again, we invite you to go to www.gregandcherylclarke.com today to get your copy of The Power of the 4 A's. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Couple Motivators podcast.
And remember, keep coming weekly because there's going to be new episodes down the pike.
Remember to add us on your playlist on your favorite streaming platform.
And remember, like we always say here at Couple Motivators, when couples unite, greatness is bound to happen.